Hey, let's go ahead and get started with a reading for you guys. I went ahead and pulled a message and let's go ahead and get started. First one out, we got trickery. Okay, this is the overall energy. All right, in this card, though, it's nobody wins. You look at this card, right? And you see the dragon here has this big acorn. And you see that the squirrel is looking up at that acorn. And the squirrel is trying to hand over this basket of tiny little acorns. But I don't think that in this card it talks about there's actually rocks at the bottom of this basket. So it's almost like the squirrel wants to trade this basket of rocks with just a tiny little bit of acorns over the top to cover the rocks. And in order for him to receive this big acorn, and it's because he is in some type of a um, competition. Okay. So at the end of the day, with this card, no one wins. That's the overall energy. So I feel though, this could have been that dragon, or you, one or, you were either the squirrel or you were the dragon, and you were dealing with a soulmate. And the soulmate here had the opportunity to tell you that they loved you. Okay. But they tricked you. They tricked you because they didn't have their own self worth. They weren't feeling it. They were really going towards their own abundance. Okay. So somebody very well could have tricked you out of money. They could have tricked you and pretended that you were getting something that you weren't. Okay. And they're starting to see that now. When I look at the soulmate, it's like I see the third eye is open. Okay. And I feel like they're starting to see that. And it had to do with their own self-worth. It had to do with the fact that they acted like they were losing out. So maybe for some of you, this soulmate very well could have tricked you out of money. And I feel like you both lost out of this. Not only did they lose you, but they lost your trust. They lost the faith. They lost everything when it came to this relationship. Okay. Now, this could have been very well somebody that you were married to. This could have been a business partnership. I mean, this could be all different types of relationships, but soulmates are not just necessarily romantic partnerships by any means. Okay. I do feel like the center of the reading is guilt. I feel like somebody feels very guilty for what they took from you. They could have taken more than just your material wealth. They could have taken your time, your energy. They could have taken even your love. People can steal a lot more than just material belongings. They can steal your love. I do feel like this person is wanting to come back in. We do have the mysticism here, okay? And this card talks about somebody showing up uninvited, somebody showing up out of the blue. They could show up on your doorstep. They could show up for some of you. This could be a call, a phone call, an email. This person is showing up, okay? Now, they're heading towards the guilt. I really do see somebody here. Like when I look at her, I see her with the halo over her head. And I see the person in the background not happy at all. So I see one person just doing their work, and I feel like there's guilt on both parties. They're chained to it. Whatever it is, they're chained to it. See, It's like no matter what. Now, for some of you, this person could have acted like they didn't do anything wrong. Everything, everything they did was above, board. And I don't think that's the case because that's the center of the reading. The next card we have out after the guilt is enlightenment. Okay, so I do feel like someone here is being enlightened to what went wrong. They're feeling guilty on their own part about their role in whatever it is. And I don't feel like it's one over the other. I feel like one really tricked somebody. I kind of feel like somebody got the better end of the deal, but really at the end of the day, did you? You may have gotten off with all of somebody's material belongings. You know, you may have gotten off. Maybe somebody helped you with something and then you turned your back on that person after you got everything out of them that you could possibly get, you know? Or when it came time for you to pay them, you didn't. I remember one time I did this job for this couple that I knew. They had cute little girls, and they needed help landscaping. They had this huge 9-bedroom house that they had purchased and they wanted to sell, and they needed somebody to help them landscape. And so they told me, I'll pay you this X amount of dollars, and if you'll help us with all of this. And I went over there 30 days straight. My body was hurting. I literally almost cut off my own fucking thumb helping them cut out all these, we cut down like 30 freaking trees. We dropped, it was ridiculous. And I literally end up still to this day have no feeling in my thumb from like here all the way up underneath the fingernail. It's just a weird feeling. Anyway, long story short, did all this work, got everything done, went and helped them, advised them and everything. And when it came time for them to pay me, they paid me a couple $100. When they offered me, it was supposed to be a few grand because I had done like a few grand's worth of work. And I was like, wow, it was so alarming to me that you could have, I could have been putting all that time into my own business. I could have been working on my own shit. And instead, I was helping these people, because I was promised something. And at the end of the day, they didn't fulfill their promise. So they're going to have to live with the guilt because at the end of the day, they ended up being the one profiting. See, it's going into their account. And then you've got the other person here who is stressed out, worried, how in the hell am I going to make it? If I wouldn't have put all this energy into you, I would have been able to have, build on my own stuff. And so I feel like, at the end of the day, this is both an enlightening situation for the both of you. And regardless of whether or not you know it, these people are thinking, or this person is thinking about what you did for them. And I feel like that guilt is not going away. And then for you, like you were tricked, and this shit with me happened like 8 years ago. So, I mean, at the end of the day, you'll get your karma. Somebody will come back and end up fucking you over. And that's just par for the course because you don't think for 2 seconds when you put that out to someone else that you're not going to receive that energy back. It'll just come back in other ways. So like for the people who didn't pay me and, I worked my ass off for them, you know, they may have to fork out a huge bill on something else, or their car, somebody like sideswipes their whole car and now they got to come up with a huge down payment, or the car's not covered under insurance and now they have to fork that over and out of their own pocket. It always comes back tenfold. You cannot screw someone over without the universe coming back. And it may not be immediate, but it will come back to haunt you later. And so I am seeing that. It's almost like with the mysticism here, it's like I almost get that ghost of Christmas past energy here. It's like it just doesn't go away. That niggling feeling of like, man, I really screwed this person over. Like I took so much from this individual. And like I said, it doesn't necessarily only have to be money. It could be, I stole somebody's time. I stole their love and I had no intentions of, I promised them, this big acorn when really in all actuality, the person only had rocks to give. You know what I mean? And so, you withered away in the relationship. For those of you who this is a relationship, for others of you, I do feel like this is like them being haunted. And it's almost like the 12-step program where you kind of have to go back and you have to make amends. Like you need to go back and make amends. And I feel like that's what this person is having to do. They're going to have to go back and make amends. And I feel like that's what the enlightenment is all about. It's like maybe they're getting advice from their higher self. They're getting advice from, you know, uh, a guru of some sort, maybe a spiritual advisor. I mean, everybody's going to have, or it could be like a father figure or, a father like figure. It does not actually have to be a father. It could just be somebody that, you're getting advice from, like, hey, man, you really screwed that person over. Don't you think that you owe them? You know, so the center of the reading, like I said, is this guilt. And so I think the guilt now has to do with a lot with their own self-worth. They didn't value you. Obviously, it had nothing to do with you. When somebody doesn't value what other people do for them, that's on them. That's not on you. You did exactly what you were supposed to do. Even if you have regrets, maybe, you have regret, oh, I should have never helped that person. No, you absolutely should have helped that person. You did what was right regardless of whether or not this person did what was right or not. This person's guilt has to do with the fact that they know that they fucked you over and now they have to live with that. And, a lot of the times they're going to have to come back later on and say, hey, listen, like, I genuinely apologize for what I did. I know that my sorry is not enough, but here's the compensation for you know, uh, for what I didn't give you in the past, or here's an apology because I should have never done that to you. It's like my tattoo on my chest says, hug me, kiss me, love me, miss me. People will hug me, they'll kiss me, they tell me they love me, and then they end up fucking me over because I know at the end of the day, I would never intentionally hurt somebody. And I always stand by my word. Doesn't mean that everybody else does, but at the end of the day, I'm not in charge of that. I'm only in charge of what I do. Therefore, I know that I can sleep well at night. And that's the same for you. You have to know at the end of the day that you have done everything correct. You didn't hurt nobody. You were not taking advantage, nothing. What they do, that's on them. So that's what I'm seeing here. So we have impartiality. And this is where you just have to be impartial to the whole thing and realize that, one way or another, the scales of justice will be balanced regardless. And if that means that this person has to deal with the consequences, that means justice will be served. And it will be served towards this person who did you wrong. Okay? And your instinct knows it. I do feel we have the bottom line is the neutral here. And the neutral talks about the seventh chakra, which is like the crown chakra, right? And so the seventh chakra, we have impartiality, instincts, and confusion. A confusion of like, my instinct tells me that I should do this, but I'm afraid to do it. But at the end of the day, I feel like if you listen to that instinct, if you listen to your higher self, the confusion will go away. If your higher self is saying like, "Hey, call that person," or "Hey, you know what? I took something that didn't belong to me and I want to send it back." It shouldn't be that confusing. You know what you did, fix it. It's really that simple. Once you fix it, you release yourself from the guilt, you release yourself from the karma, because at the end of the day, it will wreck your abundance. It's like you may be rich now, but there will be something that comes in that takes all of that away because of what you did to someone else. See, we don't realize it, but like in a past life, right? we might become like, you have money issues, correct? Like some of you who watch these videos, you may be having money issues. And what you don't realize when you come into these unions with people from, our past life, maybe in a past life, you had farmland that you knew would not grow any fruits or vegetables. There would be no fruit bared. And you knew that this family took their entire life savings and bought this land from you. And you basically sold ice to an Eskimo in the state of Arizona, right? You knew damn well that this land would not provide any fruit. And now this family ended up starving to death. They ended up losing everything they had. They ended up diseased, because what is disease but dis-ease within the body? You didn't come back and say, hey man, I did you injustice. I want to make that right. Here is the, rights to my land. You can come and pick anytime you want. Here is some meat, here is some milk, dairy, whatever, or here is some money. If you died before you made amends, you will come back in another life and you will still have to repay that debt. So maybe now you come in with money issues, or, and you're creating karma in this lifetime too. So if you fucked somebody over for money and you never repaid them after you promised that you would, you know, I mean, for me, I do have guilt. There's like 2 bills that I need to pay. And as soon as the universe opens up, they're literally on the top of my list, because I want to clear my conscience and clear my karma so that I don't have this attached. But one of those things is attached to something that somebody else owes me. So do you see how that goes? It's like, this person thought they were just fucking me over, but what they don't realize is they were actually fucking someone else over, because what they were doing and what I was supposed to be doing was giving it back to them. And unfortunately, they made that impossible. So we have those types of scenarios that happen in our lives. And at the end of the day, you may have gotten tricked, but they're going to have somebody else who comes in and tricks them. And it's going to be up to them to put 2 and 2 together and go, oh, fuck. Oh man, like I'm going through these experiences because of what I did to so and so. As long as your intentions are pure, you're golden, like for me, I had all intents and purposes, and intentions to do the right thing. I can't help it that other people didn't do the right thing. Okay. So at the end of the day, one way or another, the universe will break open, because they know deep down that if I had if I had it, I would take care of it in a fucking heartbeat, because I don't want that looming over my head, because I understand karma. So again, you have to just kind of step back and let other people do what they need to do, and then be mindful. This is also a lesson for you that not everybody is sent for your highest and best good. Some people are sent here to deliver a karma that you didn't expect. And for others of you, this is all a lesson. But at the end of the day, until you do something about that, you will always be chained to this situation. Just like for me, I will be forever chained to the situations until other people make their side right. That way I can make my side right. We got to iron this out. And that's what it's saying, is someone here, unbeknownst to you, that tricked you in the past, wants to come back in because they're feeling guilty and they've been enlightened, and they're wanting to correct this. So in the meantime, let them. Okay. You might be angry, you might be mad, but at the end of the day, they might still be blaming you, or, feel like you're the one who got, like it doesn't matter what they think. At the end of the day, the universe knows. And it doesn't matter how you want to spin these scenarios in your own fucking head. You had better do the right thing. And I think for a lot of you, there's going to be some confusion, like, well, what do we do after this? Like, how do we handle this? And I think for some of you, you're afraid that this person might end up screwing you over again. So that might be where you guys part ways, is after they give you what you're owed, whatever that means. All right, you guys, I'm going to leave that here. I want to thank you for being here. Thank you for watching. If you are interested in a personal reading, all my information's in the description box down below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. You know I appreciate it. It does help my channel grow. Check me out on Facebook and Instagram under the Footsteps to Peace or Peace Unhinged Tarot. Take care.